It's January 2026 and a lot of you are making New Year's resolutions which include being disciplined. So what better way to start the year than to have somebody from the discipline service? Today we're talking to Dr. Margaret Naserian on the discipline service and what it takes to be the first administration police officer to attain a PhD. This is She Means Business and I'm your host, Claire Munde. Hi, Dr. Naserian.
Hi, good morning. How are you, Claire?
I'm well, thanks. Welcome to She Means Business.
Thank you so much, and thank you for considering me.
Yes.
Yes.
So today we just want to have a discussion around your career. You're the first female administration police officer to get a PhD. So we want to understand what was the motivation around that and really to debunk some theories that people have about people within the police service. So I think one place to start is I'd like you to explain to our viewers what are some of the most common misconceptions people have about people who work within the police service.
Number one, I can say recently I just graduated from the University of Nairobi with a doctorate in project planning and management, specializing in project design, planning and implementation. That was on September last year, marking a great milestone in my life, and especially when it comes to the world of academia. And the reason basically I really wanted to push on the field of education is because of the impact that knowledge, skills brings in our lives, in our work and all that. Especially the knowledge, the leadership, you get to understand the system, you get to understand the policies, how they work and all that, so that you can better your services, and especially in our line of duty. It is believed that most police officers are not educated, they've not gone to school, but I would want to say that is really quite changing, because with the promulgation of the Constitution, that is in 2010, we had the establishment of the National Police Service in our Constitution, that is under Article 243. And some of the reforms that took place after that is enlisting of graduate officers into the police. And luckily I was among the group that was enlisted in 2011, where we had around 200 police officers who were graduates. So out of the 4,000 who were enlisted in the administration police service, 200 of them were graduates. And you can tell the difference between, in terms of rising through the ranks and all that, those who have the required degrees and those who have just maybe Form 4 certificate. Work, duties, responsibilities automatically are different because of the nature of the education background that you have. Now, because of that, already seeing the impact of education even in my career that I'm in, I thought it is good that I go back to school, finish my master's, and even went back again and worked on my doctorate. And luckily I just finished the other day. Yet it was also not very easy, but because of consistency, hard work, staying focused, and wanting to better myself so that I can reach where I want to go. And I know where I want to go, I cannot get there without proper preparation, and academics is one of them. I had no choice but to put in the effort. Some of the misconceptions that we have from the members of the public is that officers are rigid, is that officers are very disconnected or maybe unapproachable. But I want to demystify that. I want to say that we are people who belong to the community. We live with the members of the community. We have families. We are parents. We have children and all that. So I think, and we cannot work without these people. They are the ones who have employed us. We work for them. So we cannot work separated from them. We work with them, we work for them. So we are always interacting in one way or another. When it comes to women, it is thought that women maybe are weak, or maybe if not weak, they want to be like men. But I want to say that women are bringing what we need in the modern policing. They bring in things like emotional intelligence, they bring in things like understanding, they bring in qualities of empathy, discussion, where they can, they empathize, which are some of the qualities that we require in modern policing, because policing has really changed. We are now into what we call people-centered policing.
Okay, very interesting. A number of points that you put there, and we'll unpack them as the conversation goes. But you said that one of those misconceptions is that you're disconnected. The officers are disconnected from the community, because even when we were coming here, the person who brought us here was like, maybe I'll just drop you outside. There's already this perception when you're going into a service area, like, this is not where I want to be. So these are things that we need to debunk. But you also talked about entering through a graduate program, and the difference between those who are just Form 4 leavers and why education is very important. So take us back through your career to where you are today as the Assistant Superintendent of Police. Did you always want to join the police service? How did that happen? And then when you got in through the graduate program, take us through the steps that have brought you to where you are today.
Okay, simply, I was born and raised in a small village called Ilasit in Loitoktok Sub-County, Kajiado County, where I went to schools. I went to Ilasit Primary School, then I went to St. Clair Girls Secondary School, that is in Rombo Ward, still where I come from. I got a B+, which gave me a direct entry into the university, University of Nairobi, that is in 2004. That's when I joined the university, and I did my Bachelor's of Arts, Social Work, and graduated in 2009. Within the period between 2009 and 2011, I was just doing my side hustles and all that, and it is during then there was a lot of campaign and about the National Police Service, about the reforms that are going to take place in the police, about the police moving from a force to a service. There was a lot of that education programs on the radios, on the TVs. That's how I got to know or got interested in the police. I had never thought of becoming a police before then. It is through those campaigns that I got interested, and I said, why don't I try? Yeah. So I went for recruitment back in Loitoktok, and when the recruitment officers were looking at our documents and verifying the documents and assessing them, they looked at them very early in the morning and they told me, this is what we need in the service. And of course I followed all the other procedures and I got recruited that particular day. It was on May 2011. So I had to think a lot, is this what I really want? Because the requirement was, if you join the service as a graduate, you go for training. Basic training is 15 months. Then another 6 months for leadership and management for the graduates. So you can imagine, in a total of 21 months, having to leave the city, having to leave my normal life, and to go away for this particular training. But I say, because I have been enlisted without any, and qualified without any hiccups or hitches, I think this is where God wants me to be. I said, I'm going to try and see what comes out of it. And of course, it was not easy. After joining the Administration Police Training College, the training was not easy. For 15 months, I endured the training, and we graduated. Those who were supposed to be deployed, as now constables were deployed, as we had to come back again for the 6 months, the leadership and management course, which we did for 6 months. The climax of this course is climbing Mount Kenya, which we did in 2014, August. We climbed Mount Kenya, and successfully I was able to get up to Lenana Point. The reason why you go through all those is that they're just trying to prepare you so that when you come out here to serve the members of the public, you're qualified, you're ready, you know you've been assessed, you have the leadership skills, you are able to work as a team, you know, and all that. All you're prepared for. You might come and find a difficult working terrains and all that. You have to be prepared for all that. You might, you know, there are various challenges, but we are prepared during training. So by the time you graduate, you're mature and ready for any assignment that is going to be ahead of you. So, and then after that, I went back to school at the University of Nairobi for my master's degree program, which I graduated again in 2017 in the same area, project planning and management. And I rested for 1 year, that is 2018. 2019, I went back again for my doctorate in the same field, project planning and management, now specializing in project design, planning, and implementation. And the reason, the motivation behind it is just to gain the knowledge, the skills to help me serve better, serve the community better, be a better police officer with proper understanding of leadership, proper understanding of policies, proper understanding of the system and all that. Yes.
Okay, so you've talked about, you know, you even climbed Mount Kenya, just part of resilience, preparing you for leadership and whatnot. So in your, this is 15 years within the service, what would you say have been your Mount Kenya, climbing Mount Kenya moments? What have been those difficult moments within the service and within your career that you have had to overcome, and how did you navigate?
There are many. Life throws you a lot of mountains, but in one way or another, because you've been prepared and you're resilient and you know what you want, you remain focused, you stay focused, and you find yourself reaching the peak. Of course, with turbulences here and there, but you stay firm. There are times maybe you're even transferred. You feel like, it's creating discomfort. Okay, having also to balance your personal ambitions, work, family, and life. It has not been easy. For example, when I'm pursuing my PhD, that's when we had COVID-19. It came with a lot of, turbulences in our lives, but you still stay focused. You still go back to school. You still pursue what you want to do. During that time, you're also having children, which I'll not call mountains, but they come with a lot of responsibilities that need to ground you, to make you have to be very firm. You have to stay very focused. You have to balance all these roles. You're a mother, you're a student, you're working, you're working in different environments once in a while. It is not easy. Yeah, so, but because you're already prepared and you know what you want, I think that the training prepares us. It gives you the thick skin. Yeah, nothing difficult. Nothing feels difficult. Everything that comes to you, you face it and you overcome it.
Yeah, yeah. Mm-hmm. And I like the way you talked about some of the unique challenges that women face, that work and then personal, raising children, as you said, as you're trying to grow your career. And I remember when I met you, there was a time your daughter came up and you spoke about her doing law, and it's something to be proud of. So what would you say have been the ways that you've been able to balance raising children and also making sure that you're rising within your career?
Number one, you have to know what you want. You have to have a direction. You have to have a goal. You cannot just wake up and, looking like a ship that has no direction. You have to know what you want, so that once you know what you want, you go for it. I've been a family person. I have always wanted to be a family person based on how I grew up and the environment that I grew up in. I grew up in a very big family, a family that we love one another. So personally, I really wanted to have a family, and that's why you can see, even at a young age, I have a daughter who is 21, I have a son who is 16, and I have a small one, tunaweza mwita mtoto wa pension. He's 3.5, you see? But at the same time, I haven't forgotten what I want to be in terms of academic growth or intellectual growth, and also doing well in terms of leadership in a male-dominated field. So it's getting to know what you want, going for it, balancing all the roles. Of course, the basic things like doing the right thing at the right time, in the right place, and all that. When I'm supposed to be a mother at home, I become a mother. When I'm with my friends out, like when we're having party, that's Maggie. When I'm working, that's a commander. Basically, that's it.
Yeah, I like that. Knowing which box to put different facets of your life,
Yes.
and really not being a sheep that's lost. Huh?
Yes.
So also I'd like you to speak on the matter of being a woman in leadership. Sometimes there are these perceptions, whether it's in corporate now within the service, that as you said, women are sometimes perceived as weak, but you said they bring in something else. There's the emotional intelligence and so on and so forth. What have been some of the unique challenges you've faced being within the discipline service as a woman? You know, even when you came in, you know, people around you are males and they answer to you. So what are some of the unique challenges you've faced, and how do you also change those perceptions? Because there are some people who have conscious and unconscious biases towards women.
Okay, that is there. I cannot deny it. But what you only need to do is understand the people you're working with and the environment that you're working with, so that if there is some kind of resistance, especially based on cultural biases, which have been there, you get to know how to live with them and work with them without feeling like they're not listening to you, or they're not embracing what you're saying because you're a woman. Where I can say, even the structures of our work make it easy for us. We have a proper laid out structure where by the time an officer disobeys me, there are so many other people who are involved. I have so many other male leaders in between the officers and myself, whom we work closely together, such that we do not have such cases, just because of the nature and the establishment or the bureaucracy of our work. Yes.
Okay. Now we'll talk a little bit about your interest and enthusiasm for environmental matters, but let's speak a little bit more about the service. And I'd like you to speak to people to get a basic understanding of what your day-to-day looks like. So when you come here, what does a day in your life look like?
Generally, I'm the sub-county commander for Dagoretti South. And our main role as administration police officers is critical infrastructures that we have within our sub-county. We ensure the safety of the property, we ensure the safety of the people, we generally protection of life and property. And I have a group of people, officers that I work with, that I command, that I lead, that I supervise on a day-to-day basis. So mine is to ensure that we are at the right place when we are required, we respond promptly when the community needs us. Where there is a community engagement, we also avail ourselves. We work closely also with the DCC, who is a member of NGAO. We work also with the chiefs, and we work also with the OCSs and the OCPD area. So you find I'm not working alone. I have different security agencies that the government has put in place for us to work together and help the people of maybe Dagoretti, yes, in terms of protection of their life and property, to ensure that the day-to-day businesses go as they would expect. If there are kids who are going to school, it's uninterrupted. If there are people who are going to the hospital, it's uninterrupted. If there are people who are visiting financial institutions, it's uninterrupted. That is our work, to ensure things run smoothly.
Okay. Now the last question on the service before we go to environmental matters. You know, at the beginning of this interview, you talked about people have this perception that officers are rigid and they have this kind of set mindset. What would you say have been some of the changes that have been made moving from the force to a service, and really making sure also the mental health of officers is taken care of? Because, you know, we have situations in the country where officers act in ways that are, you know, wanting. So what is the role of mental health, and how has that played in to the service to make sure that officers are also well, so that they can also treat others well? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Basically, I can say leadership really contributes to the officer's well-being, because a leader is the one who is going to ensure that the working environment of his or her officers and her command is correct. So there's a lot of mentorship that has to come from the leaders, and I believe most of our leaders are doing that to ensure that our officers are working in conducive environment. Officers are listened to. If an officer comes to me, you listen to them, you understand what they need. they're not just here as workers and all that. For them to work well, they have to belong. So personally, I make sure that I'm always there for them. If an officer needs leave, you give them leave so that they can also go visit their families or be with their families and such. And there's also counseling department that generally the MPS is working very hard to ensure it's fully equipped, even with the right personnel, so that they can always help our officers. Mental health is an issue, and not just in the police. In many of our families, you'll find that we have one or two, but we're encouraging people to talk it out and to love these people, to accept them, and to work with them in their journey. They can still serve if they are well taken care of.
Okay, let's move on to environmental factors. You're very big on environmentalism and just taking care of the environment. Tell us where that nudge came to be very environmental conscious, and some of the work that you're doing within creating a culture where we are focused on to ensure that there's no climate change. The effects of climate change are not bad.
Growing up in Illicit, I saw patterns of rains and all that, and we could be able to predict. And the rains were good. We used to have a lot of harvest and all that. But when I left the village and came to the city, every time you would hear of droughts and all that. But by looking at things, it's because we did cut trees so that we can do agriculture, forgetting that this has the effects of climate change. So as a result of deforestation, I would find most of our people are not even able to afford food or school fees because of the prolonged droughts, which lead to poverty. I thought the best thing that I can do is to go back home and help our people through education, through sensitization on importance of environment management, importance of environment mitigation. And this is where we are, and this is what we need to do. And I thought I cannot be able to do that just wearing the cap of a police officer. So I needed something else. Hence the formation of the foundation, Gakami Mustard Seed Foundation, which deals with 4 major areas, but the leading thematic area is on environmental conservation and women empowerment, women youth empowerment, capacity building, and generally community development. So far, we've been able to plant over 500,000 trees through the foundation, not only in Loitoktok, but also in other parts of the country. Last year, I was able to take around 10,000 seedlings. And when this year, last week, I received like 2,000 seedlings from KCB Foundation. The 10,000 seedlings, I got them from a few individuals, and 5,000 seedlings I got from ABSA Foundation. So I'm able to work with different people, as individuals, families, friends, institutions, to help now the foundation support now the community in terms of environmental conservation. We focus on different types of seedlings, and especially the indigenous. We are moving from the exotic to indigenous trees. We've been able to distribute and plant a lot of meruok, Nandi flame, and I'm forgetting that one, but we're also focusing on fruit trees. The reason we are going towards fruit trees because they not only help us in environmental mitigation, not only in forest cover, but also economic empowerment. They'll be able to harvest the fruits, they will sell them, and they'll be able to cater for their needs. So it's coming in several folds in terms of advantage. So we are, like right now, the 2,000 trees that I'm here to distribute are mango trees, oranges, and avocados. I'm planning for a day when I'm going to go down to Loitoktok and distribute them. I work with institutions because when you work with institutions, they'll not only plant, they'll plant and make sure they monitor so that those plants grow. So because we're not just planting, we want them to grow. We want to see the results, such that in 3, 4, 5 years, you will see the difference. Another big motivation is when I went to places like Muranga as a county, when I visited that place for the first time and I saw how beautiful it was, that is in 2021, somebody told me, who was very close to me, that this place was not the same 15 years ago. Then they also faced a lot of deforestation, a lot of droughts, but they all made a resolve that they are going to change their area by planting trees. And that is what they did. In every border of the land, the owner of the land will make sure that they have planted these, they call them mikema in Kikuyu, in English is gravaria. So every home you find that they have planted so many gravarias. And slowly by slowly, 15 years down the line, now 20 years down the line, because the story I was being told in 2021, if you go that place right now, you see the difference. The area is always cool, the area is always, there's rains, you know, it's green, it's beautiful. That is what I would want for our people in Kajiado and any other part of our land here in country that does not have proper vegetation and all that. On issue of environmental conservation, again, you cannot separate it even from what I do on a day-to-day basis. Environment, as I've come to learn, being an environmentalist is not being activist or doing what we call activism. No, this is a security prevention on its own. Because where there is drought or where there is scarcity in terms of resources, crime will go up. People will fight for the small resources that they have. So I believe if we can be able to mitigate environment and conserve our environment, we'll be doing what we call a security preventive measure on its own. Yes. Okay. So that is also another motivation, which is in line with what I do on a day-to-day basis.
Okay, so a holistic approach.
Yes.
Now I'd like us to get to the quickfire section and just know a little bit more about you. I was looking at your desk here and I can see a number of books. You have the Bible, you have strategy, needs a strategy, and so on and so forth. So what are you reading currently? Atomic Habits.
Yes.
Seems clear.
Yes.
And what is the habit that is sticking out for you right now?
Working out, fitness, and all that.
So are you putting your workout clothes on your bedside the day before you go to work out?
I'm telling you, there's someone who is doing that for me on a day-to-day basis. So at least I have 3 times a week, which I have devoted myself from this year. That's what I'm going to do. Okay. Yes, and reading from the Atomic Habits, the beauty of the compound effects of the small, beautiful things that you do, and they accumulate into something large, nice. So even on our day-to-day lives, whatever small that you decide to do, as long as you do it consistently, there's the compound effect in it. So what compound effect are you having in your life? Is it on the positive or is it on the negative?
Okay.
Yeah.
So what was your research topic for your PhD?
It was on the intelligent traffic control system. That is on the performance of the intelligent traffic control system here in Nairobi County, with a name to help the county of Nairobi and the government in general to decongest our city, because we waste a lot of time in traffic. You can imagine a Nairobian spends 64.4 minutes on road on average on a daily basis. So it does not only affect individuals, but it also affects corporates and even the government itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what does success look like for you?
Well, I can say there is a proper definition for success because it will vary from one person to another. But as long as I think you are healthy, you're where you would want to be, your children are where you would want to be, you are at peace, spiritually you're doing well, I think that is success.
Okay. And what are your career plans the next 5 years? Can you give us an outlook of what your plans look like?
Well, basically it's working towards climbing up the ladder. That is in my job, which we already have. And of course at a very good bargaining point now. So you watch this space because I think we are in the right place. We've done well, we've prepared well, and we are ready to go.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, as we conclude, I'd like you to look into this camera and speak to women and even men and Kenyans in general who are watching this episode. What is that one thing that you would want them to know about really pursuing their dreams? That's the one thing. And then 2, about the police service and how we can interact better. Because as you said, you're not isolated. You need to work together as a community to better the country. Okay,
thank you. For the women and girls in general, what I would want to say is that you can become what you want to be. You only need to dream and don't be scared of dreaming. Go for what you feel that you want to become, and you can always become. Let not your background hold you. Like personally, I come from a very small village, but I did not let that background hold me. You know, your background cannot determine your destination. It is you what you want, and you go for it. Look forward and just go for it. Your eyes on the ball, and you can always get it. And I can also tell them that academia or intellectual growth will always go hand in hand, even being a mother and also an employee or a worker or a public servant like I am. All of them can go hand in hand, and they can only supplement one another, because you can imagine intellectual growth will help you in terms of delivery. Leadership will help you even in terms of resiliency. Motherhood will help you in terms of compassion. All those things, they need each other so that you can become a better person.
Okay, and about the service and how we can work together as citizens and the service to make Kenya better.
Yes. What I want to say is that security is not a one-man individual responsibility or the responsibility of law enforcers alone. We need the community that we serve and the officers to come together and work together. We are bridging the gap between the community and the officers, because the community are the ones who live with these people if they are criminals. They are the ones who hear them, they are the ones who know them, they see them, they know where they are and all that. They can only come to us, talk to us, be open to us, and we respond to them, and we are ready to respond to them, because that is what we've been called to do. To listen to them, to listen to their needs, to respond to their needs and serve them. But we cannot serve them when they are away from us. We are calling them to come and work closely with police. They have a responsibility to ensure that we have a safe nation. And it's only when the two come together and work together we can get the results.
Okay. So you've heard it from Dr. Margaret Naserian. Education unlocks a lot of opportunities, and don't be afraid to dream. You know, they say that the dream is free, the hustle is sold separately. So dream and then go for it. This has been She Means Business. I have been your host, Claire Munde. Until next time, have a good one.